Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome to the very first episode of the year of the Wednesday Wakeup Live. Happy New Year, Zach Bach. Happy New Year, Katie Serpa. Happy New Year, Katie Serpa. Happy New Year there, Mr. Handsome Ryan. Okay, this is the first show of the year. We've got a very exciting show for everybody. We're here, as always, discussing the betterment of the community, the betterment of this world, and the betterment of the individual. That is what we are dedicated to here on the Wednesday Wake Up Live. And today, we're talking about our nonprofit of the week, Animal Friends of the Valley, which I think is going to be an important thing to highlight here with the new year. Our big discussion, we're going to be talking about New Year's resolutions. Are these a good thing? Are they a bad thing? What about, what's that? So everything's fine. So whether or not they're a good thing or a bad thing, we're going to be talking about all of that. So everyone's saying that there's a lot of feedback. So let's make sure that there are no phones anywhere near all of this. Okay, I hope that we're good now. It's okay, Ryan. Okay, we're going to be talking about SERT Ministries. Rudy Gonzalez and Lori Gonzalez are going to be our special guests here in studio. They combat human trafficking firsthand here in the Inland Empire and around the world. And we're going to be talking about dancing, just to kind of lighten things up a little bit. Zach went out dancing, and last year I stayed home in my robe and watched Peanut Butter Falcon with Kate.
Great.
And we're going to need to bring you into the frame a little bit here, Kate. And then we're going to talk about my soapbox, which is going to be on responsibility. And I think that that's an interesting thing coming into the new year, talking about our responsibilities as human beings. So I hope that all of our feedback issues are fixed now and that we're ready to move forward with our first segment of the new year.
Yeah. I have some fun facts. Can I throw them out real quick?
Yes, please do.
Because you know I like facts and stats and all this fun stuff. So this is the year of the rats. Just want everyone to know. This is also, it is 100 years celebrating women's right to vote.
Okay.
Isn't that kind of cool?
Interesting.
I thought that was really pretty interesting. And it's also a leap year.
Wow.
So, and we also have lots of holidays falling on all the holidays are falling on like Fridays and Saturdays this year. So it's going to be really nice. Halloween's on like a Saturday night. Christmas is on a Friday or something like that. So we're going to have a lot of good holidays. So.
It means that it's the year of the rat is my mom's year there. I remember because when we grew up, we had the Mandarin was our Chinese food restaurant in Polly Pines, which still is. I remembered it was very good Chinese food. Maybe it was the only Chinese food, but
it was the only Chinese food. But I also remember it being very good. And I was talking to Amy about the same thing. Yeah. The calendars.
Yes, the calendars on the table. I have yet to find the same pan-fried noodles anywhere. I went to one of the local Chinese food store restaurants, and I said, "Hey, I just want noodles and chicken." Yeah. And they were like, "Just noodles and chicken?" I go, "Literally, just pan-fried noodles and chicken." And then they gave it to me, and it was like these deep-fried noodles with sauce to pour on it. And I was like, "I just want noodles and chicken."
Zach is like, "Listen, I am the whitest human being that has ever been in here. I am from the Sierra Nevadas. I would like my Chinese food, Pollock Pine style.
And chicken, Pollock Pine style, please." Yeah.
That's great.
So thank you to everybody who is already tuning in. We have, let's see here. We've got, first off, I'm excited that Rudy and Lori Gonzalez are going to be in. This kid is going to undo my bow tie, which is okay. Is the video showing or is it my connection? Okay, everybody, I think that everything is fixed now. So thank you to everybody who's tuning in. Amy is tuning in from Northern California this week. So here we go. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about Animal Friends of the Valley, shall we?
Wait, before we do Animal Friends of the Valley, we have a sock challenge, I believe.
Oh, are we doing the sock challenge?
Did you not?
Okay, let's do the sock challenge.
Oh, no. Okay, sock challenge. Here we go.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and go first while I prepare the sock challenge? I was not prepared for this on the...
Oh, okay. All right, sock challenge. I'm not sure if I have sported these before, but best mom ever.
Ooh,
starting off the new year, representing all the moms, and I'm very proud to be a mom. So
the only morning show where we started off by getting up on the table.
Duh.
But that's okay.
All right, Zach Bach, we got what was it, best mom?
Best mom ever.
All right, so as usual, I have a story to go with my socks.
Oh, jeez.
So my socks today, Ivy got me a Stance sock subscription. So I get to choose my socks. So these are part of their mountain wear. And what we have here, we have the sun rising to the mountains. So what these socks are, ooh, you like that, Ryan? They're clean. Don't worry, buddy. So you have the sun rising behind the mountains. And one of the things that I had told myself for the new year was it's about not necessarily a huge resolution, because I'm not a resolution person, but about just getting up a little earlier, getting a little more honed on my schedule, on my time and stuff like that. And one of those things is getting up consistently, doing the little stuff, making my bed, yada, 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 stuff like that. So I figured, what a good sock to start the new year, especially when I saw the schedule and I said, we're talking about New Year's resolutions.
Okay, so we got Best Mom, and we've got the getting outside speech, which was accompanied by a decent sock at best. I'm glad it had a good story.
And here's something David's probably shown before.
Not true.
Here is
my God,
my Star Wars sock. Little shout out to Disney Plus for keeping us all entertained on our New Year's, on our Christmas with our families. Shout out to all of our Star Wars fans. Mandalorian being the most bad ASS show on television that I can watch with my children. So cool. All right. The Star Wars socks, Best Mom, and whatever it was.
Sun rising behind the mountains.
Sun rising behind the mountains.
Symbolic for Zach's New Year's resolution.
I like it, though. I'm just playing with you.
No, I think
I'm,
it's
of
nice
course,
as well. I do like the style of the sock. I'm not gonna lie.
The problem is they're snow socks, and so they're actually really warm.
Oh, they look very solid.
It's really warm in the studio today. A little hot, but that's okay.
Okay. All right. So again, Happy New Year, everybody. We're going to go and jump into Animal Friends of the Valley. Kate's got some interesting statistics to talk about with what they've got going on. Yeah. And really, so last night, with it being New Year's, and really quick, Amy said that Star Wars wins. And thank you, Amy Serpa. I appreciate your love and support from Northern California this morning. So Animal Friends of the Valley. Last night, with it being New Year's, we had a lot of fireworks going off. We had a lot of explosions going on everywhere. And I'm going to need to scoot you in just permanently. We had a lot of explosions going on. We had a lot of fireworks. And those are things that can be very startling for a dog especially. And so the shelters are going to be filling up with animals. Not all of these animals are going to be found by their owners. And I would encourage you to get out there and adopt. I've got a rescue pup here who is now 14 years old and hardly a rescue pup. Zach has his own experience with Animal Friends of the Valley. But first, I want to go ahead and have Kate tell you why Animal Friends of the Valley is so important.
So Animal Friends of the Valley has been around for over 30 years. They're located in Wildomar off of, I wrote this down so we would have it, off of Mission Trail. And I'll put up the phone number in just a few minutes. But they originally started out with 6 women, one of them being in the Canyon Lake area. And they all got together because they wanted to do something about all of the strays and make sure that these animals, these cats and dogs initially were being adopted out. So these 6 women got together, developed a board of directors, and they developed it was originally called LEAF, the Lake Elsinore Animal Friends. And then in 2008, I believe, it became Animal Friends of the Valley. So over 30 years of service that they've been providing. So it's really kind of special. And just to give you an idea, on average, for the month of October, for example, they had 203 strays come through their doors. Only 33% of those were returned to their owners, and about 53% were adopted out. So, it's really important what they do, and they've been around a long time. They serve Lake Elsinore, Canyon Lake, Wildomar, Menifee, Murrieta, and Temecula. So go check them out. They have a great website. Their number is 951-674-0618. So go check them out. They're a great nonprofit. That
was really interesting. All of the statistics about how many animals are actually returned and how many, of course, are not returned.
Yeah.
So, Zach, you have an adoption story that you were telling me about your kitty cat.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to talk about this?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the last, we adopted 2 cats in Utah. They had a 0-fee adoption. So we adopted 2 cats. One of them didn't make it, and we took her to the vet, and the vet was like, this cat never should have been put up for adoption. It had all kinds of issues. That one's name was Mouse.
That's Utah. That's not AFV.
Yeah. And then we came out here, went to Animal Friends of the Valley, and they had plenty of little kittens and stuff like that. Jackson chose his cat out, and off we went. It was a really easy process, and it was he's a great cat.
This is kind of an interesting thing. I have kind of an impromptu little debate here because why not, right? So I'm in a situation where my dog is getting significantly older. Okay, the Mackie Mac and Earmuffs Mac. He is just he's an older dog, and that's okay, Mac. But I'm trying to decide whether or not we want to get a cat or whether or not we want to get a dog. I've been a dog person my whole life. Okay, I love dogs, but that being said, I live in the suburbs. There's so much poop all the time that I have to contend with, and barking. Being on the autism spectrum, I cannot stand the barking. It is incessant. So I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to try to go with a bigger breed and get it more of a manly dog who's going to be more secure about himself with big manlier turds that I'm then going to have to pick up, or whether I want to adopt a cat. And I'm just trying to decide. You've been a cat person.
And mind you, David is allergic to cats.
I'm allergic to cats, but I'm trying to figure it out.
Mind you, that there is also a third option of no animals.
No animals.
That is a good option.
Which is typically the boat that I like to ride in, because I don't want to deal with any of the poop, and we have 5 children, so I don't really want any more poop around here.
And it's it really just comes down to the cat dog debate is very funny, because to me it's very much like when people go, oh, the book was so much better than the movie. Why are you trying to compare 2 completely different things against each other?
Sure.
Cats versus dogs, very different. We have Paisley and we have Cuckoo. Paisley is a super energetic German short-haired pointer that wants nothing more than to lay on the couch and jump all over you and chase balls all day long. And we have Cuckoo, who's a codependent cat who wants nothing more than just to lay on your lap and get pet. And it comes down to just what you want out of your animal. Cats are a little more independent usually. They're a little bit more like, hey, listen. I'll tell you when you can pet me. I'll tell you when you can take care of me. But when I want it. So just let me have it when I want it. Dogs are more just like, hey, food. Are you going to pet me now? Are you going to pet me? You're going to throw the ball
So
out?
Zach is much more like a cat.
Yeah.
I'm much more like a dog. I'm like, are you going to pet me? Food?
And I'm mostly just human.
You're human. But we're trying to pitch Animal Friends of the Valley, and you're like, hey, listen, I don't want any animals at all. And I want to tell you the truth about Kate. Don't let her lie to you at all, not even a little bit. Kate is like, I want to have chickens, and I want to have goats and alpacas. And I'm like, holy crap. And she's like, how many animals can I legally get away with having here in the suburbs? And I'm like, it's like cats and dogs, like 1 chicken.
I want 1 chicken. I want to name it Courtney. I might want a goat, maybe. But I definitely don't want dogs, and I don't want cats.
She also has a very unrealistic expectation for Courtney that she's going to provide all of these eggs all the time.
If you treat Courtney well, Courtney will treat you well.
Okay. All right. So, before we move on here, Star Wars socks win. Thank you. More Star Wars socks win. And of course, This is my direct family, but Zach is supportive as well.
Just wear white tube socks, and his mom's going to vote for him. So
that's okay. I love you, Mom. Zach, Ivy says, I think Zach needs another dog. What do you think, Zach? Do you need another dog?
I've already said, a nice little Pomeranian, some little thing that I can carry around in my
Those
man
things
satchel.
are yippers. Those things.
Your man satchel. So Zach might be looking for a dog that he can carry around in his fanny pack.
If you can fit in my hat, we're good.
Oh
Okay.
Ivy brings up a great point right here, though. Is we see a lot of times, especially, and I hate to put them on blast, but military families, they get dogs, they get these animals, and then they go to leave. They go overseas. They go to PCS somewhere, and you see them all the time trying to get rid of the animal that they adopted. Because they did not have that true discussion with the family. They go, oh my God, it sounds like a great idea. Let's go get a dog today.
I agree. And this is kind of unfortunate, and this is kind of a culture thing, and I wouldn't say it's exclusive amongst military, because I talk to a lot of people that are now renting, or people that want to buy a house, and they just flat out don't want to bring the dog with them. And it's kind of a thing for me as somebody that really loves animals, that I have to keep my mouth closed, because it is what it is. It's not my job to enforce my opinion on everybody else. With that being said, you're watching our show. And
it's our opinion.
It's our opinion. And I tend to look down on people that get rid of their animals in order to make their situations with their housing easier.
But I think we should go ahead and mention that Animal Friends of the Valley also has like an after hours and like an emergency surrender area.
Sure.
So if you are in that position, you don't have to just abandon that animal. You can
That's
take
true.
it to the Animal Friends of the Valley. They have a surrender office.
I find a lot of dogs when I'm going around putting out open house signs. I've found dogs, potbelly pigs, all sorts of different things. And anyway, we've ended up being on the segment for much longer than what we had planned on. But Ivy says there's most likely going to be mini pets in the shelters here in this next 2 months because a lot of families got Christmas dogs and really don't know what they were in for. They see cute little puppies and then lose interest when they get older, when puppies get difficult. Ivy says that she wants to get a duck. Everybody wants to go ahead and like get right out of the suburbs or just fill the suburbs with animals, apparently.
Well, part of the problem is we have a huge lot. And our lot is 13,000 square feet. And so I almost can't say no on some of this stuff when she says it.
How can you say no to a mallard duck?
Because it's really so cool.
Okay,
all right.
So let's move on here. We're going to talk about New Year's resolutions.
Yes.
I noticed that there is a bit of a tendency here on Facebook right now to make fun of people that are trying to better themselves, that are trying to yeah, that's okay. There's a tendency amongst people right now on Facebook to look down on people and make fun of them for trying to better themselves, for trying to break old cycles, for trying to make more money, for trying to become independent. And I think that is negative, in my opinion. In my opinion, I think that every day, every moment should be more like New Year's. We should be constantly committing ourselves to bettering ourselves, bettering our community, and in looking down on people for trying to make their lives better is it's a very safe opinion to make.
You know, Eric Flynn, who was somebody we met when we were out in Maine, when we did a power panel in Maine, he posted on Facebook the other day, he said, what would happen if we all only posted positive things on Facebook? Mm-hmm. And I responded, I said, we would change the world. Mm-hmm. You know, realistically, so many mindset shifts would happen and people start looking at things in such a different light, because if you just post positivity and you're just like, hey, I'm going to be a positive person, it's amazing the shift that can happen, because it makes it to where you're saying, you know, I am going to do this. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do whatever it is that my New Year's resolution. And if your friends and family are saying, you are going to do that, I'm going to support you in doing that, rather than why are you wasting your time with that? Mm-hmm. It's amazing that the shift that would happen. I
think that there's a certain amount of awareness that comes with saying things the way that they are.
Yeah.
Versus the denial of the only posting positivity. So I am much like, so for me, like a lot of people, like I have a goal that I want to be happy, and I just want to be aware. And I feel like with more awareness, oftentimes we become more happy. We become more intentional because we are seeing things for the way that they actually are. So instead of lying to ourselves and posting fake positivity or false negativity so that we can get reinforced in that by our friends, I just think that, be real, be authentic. I have a friend of mine that said, because I post a lot about being autistic, and because I want people to find that in their lives, or maybe somebody around them, and then grant that awareness that will help them or people in their lives. And so he says, I post a lot about fitness. And he says, for me, when I fell off the wagon, I put on some weight, seeing other people posting about going to the gym was really inspiring. And he said, and it helped me get recommitted to fitness. And I thought that was really, it was an interesting perspective, because there's a lot of us that really look down on the, people are posting their gym check-ins. And I do that. I make fun of you guys for posting your gym check-ins. But it's a good thing to throw out good stuff into the world.
Agreed. I totally agree. I'm not a huge resolution person, but I definitely think that if you're going to be intentional about something, I think, writing it down, and for a lot of people, you have to find that accountability partner or someone who's in it with you. You know what I mean?
You guys want to talk for a minute?
I agree. I think that's one of the parts where people often don't continue through with their goals is due to the accountability aspect of it. And that's one thing where a lot of people, they go, I want to do X, Y, and Z. And I struggled with this with going to the gym. I was going to the gym with a couple people pretty consistently. They stopped being able to go to the gym. And then I started to slack, and I started to less and less and less. And I think that having that person that can also give you that kind of no BS approach. I'm in a Facebook chat with a group of guys, and we call it positive self-growth. And we're kind of no BS towards each other, where it's like if somebody posts like, hey, X, Y, and Z is going on today, I can't do this, the holidays have screwed my schedule up. It's like, no, the holidays didn't screw your schedule up. You screwed your schedule up. And you stopped doing the things that you said that you were going to do. And I think being very honest with yourself about not making excuses is a huge part of finishing your resolutions.
I totally agree. It's all about discipline as well. I really don't do well with, I have to do it on my own.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do well doing it with like a group of friends. Not that that's a negative thing, but I wouldn't do, if I was going to exercise and have like a weight goal or something like that, I would genuinely have to hold my own self accountable and get up and do it myself, or write it down. If I write something down and make it visual for me, and I have absolutely no one to blame but myself, then I tend to do better in those situations. So.
I think, one of the big things, those of you that are watching, what are your resolutions? What are the things that you want to do? And then I would challenge all of you, set a reminder in your phone, for once a month, twice a month, to check in on yourself on your resolution. If you're going to do that, whatever that may be, and post it to Facebook. Post what it is, because then Facebook is also going to give you that reminder of, hey, X, Y, and Z is going to happen, and, this is going on. So,
David, do you want to swap out?
Yeah, I'm going to do that right now.
Okay. All right. Well, our guests have just arrived, and we're getting ready to bring them on camera. We will do that in just a minute. But yeah, New Year's resolutions are important to a lot of people, and I know that a lot of people are going to be holding themselves accountable this year. I think it's a good thing. There's been a lot of it, so I encourage everybody to do the New Year's resolutions and find accountability partners.
We're gonna pass to you. Okay, we're doing the baby shuffle here, and we're going to start on our next segment, which is going to be about SERT Ministries and human trafficking, which is going to be no light task, but okay, here we go. Okay. All right, Zach, are you joining us or not for this segment? Okay. Okay, here we go. Then what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and pop that chair out. Here you go, guys. Okay, so welcome, my brother.
Hey.
Rudy Gonzalez, Lori Gonzalez. Thank you, guys. So this is our first show of the year, and we really are excited about, can we bring you guys in a little bit here? And I'm very excited about having you guys on here. I appreciate you guys coming out. We just had the open house here at SERT Ministries a couple of days ago. But your fight is so important, is so crucial. I think it is the fight of our time. I don't think that there's any fight out there that is as important as this one. Can you tell people what it is that SERT Ministries does and who you are?
You have a good way to explain it. Go ahead.
So SERT Ministries, the vision is to help people that have found themselves in a trapped situation. That can look like so many different things. And we're there. We believe that that's not God's plan for their life, to be trapped and held in bondage. So we're available to offer people options. And so we search for the missing. When family members go missing, we get calls from law enforcement and from families. When people get caught up in human trafficking, our operators go in and get them out. So I like to tell people, a lot of people say that they do rescues, but I like to explain it this way. Like if you saw a house on fire, and David, you noticed it was on fire, you would call 911. You're part of that rescue, right?
Yeah.
And the 911 dispatcher is part of that rescue. And then she would deploy the firemen to run into the house and pull them out. That's kind of the part that SERT Ministries does, is we actually are boots on the ground, working on 5 different continents to get people out of trap situations. 5
different continents. Zach, can you let Mac out? He needs to go to the bathroom.
And the youngest person we've rescued that I've spoken with is 15 months.
That's insane.
And the oldest was 72, being traded in San Diego.
72 years old. There is a thought amongst, and if Lori, if you could cheat in a little bit more here. I'm really going to try to bring this over to you here. Okay. So there is a thought amongst people that this is a somewhere else problem, that this is happening. It's not happening here in the Inland Empire. you said, oh, it's 5 continents. And immediately a lot of people, their minds go, oh, South America, or anywhere south of the border. This isn't something that's happening here. What are some of the things that you need to tell people about human trafficking to just kind of open their eyes? Like maybe some statistics that will.
Well, the crazy thing is there's over 40 million slaves today. Today, 2020, we're going into 2020 with 40 million slaves in the world.
Yeah.
Less than 1% of them will ever see freedom in the world. And that's something that's got to change. But really, like I went on a rant the other day. I think I was doing a Facebook Live myself.
Yeah.
And I was doing this rant the other day where I was talking about where has it become okay? Because I had a meeting with an FBI agent. And currently we're working a case with a girl that's, she's in Mexico and she's been taken. And the FBI's like, well, she's 17. When has it been okay for an adult to have sex with a child? Like, that's one of the things that we've started to say. It's okay. Like, it's not okay with me.
Yeah.
Like, it's not okay. Like, the other thing, too, that's just not okay with me that we need to open our eyes with, because somehow in our society, we've like been lulled into this complacency. Like, you're a father of children. Would it be okay for your child to spend the night at somebody's house and you not know it?
No, of course not.
And for them to hide that child?
No.
See, and really what's crazy is we've gotten into this thing where law enforcement is so overwhelmed that they've minimized, right? And this is coming from a former cop, but they minimized the issues to make it seem like, well, that's not as big of a problem. But 2/3, and here's we go with another statistic, and all this comes from the Polaris Project. So they're the ones that are kind of like the statistic keepers. But 2/3 of runaways will be contacted by a trafficker within the 48 hours that they're missing, right? So we have this thing where runaways become a low priority.
Yes.
Right? They don't even send a cop out to take a report anymore. You do it over the phone. My child's run away. They're 15. The first thing that goes into the law enforcement's mind is they're just a runaway. They're 15.
Yeah.
But you got a dude that's crawling around looking for that child.
That's right.
That's in a displacement period in their life and saying, I can manipulate them into making money for me.
That's right. And one of the very interesting things that I learned was how much money each one of these human beings is worth annually.
Right.
And how much they're being sold each and every time, every day.
Right.
And so when you see that notification that goes out on Temecula Talk or your local exchange that says, there's a missing child right now, and oh, they're just a runaway, I know about this. Well, that's huge.
Right.
It's a runaway. Now, not only is there a runaway out there, but there are people out there looking for this runaway that are now working against you to try to get this kid off the streets in a bad way.
Right.
And so this is real. You can go into a state of denial about your responsibility to it. Right. And here's one of the number one things that, in my opinion, is the issue. And that is the consumption.
Yeah.
That is the consumption of human beings.
Right.
And there's this thought process, not only amongst some of the older minors to say, oh, well, they're older. But well, when is it okay to buy a human being to have sex with them? And then you look at places like Vegas where it's legal to buy and sell human beings. And as a libertarian, I was talking to you and I was like, well, at a certain point, as an adult, you kind of, you have a certain amount of accountability. But then you really opened my eyes and you just said, at what point is it okay to sell yourself, to sell another human being? And I think that it is an old school mindset. It is a machismo mindset. And it is fostered in a lot of the military communities when we go to these ports and people are talking, oh, have you ever been to Thailand? Oh, you've ever been to Thailand? That's not okay either. And so the crackdown on the Johns, the crackdown on the neighbors that are going to these massage parlors, the crackdown on the people that are going into the suburbs. And because that was another eye-opening thing for me, where this is taking place.
Yeah, and houses just like this.
That's right.
And that's what's crazy is you see that with that whole idea. And I'm really glad that you said that because it's never okay. And I even take one step further. And a lot of people wouldn't agree with me on this. But look at the mindset, again, with us in our society. When you're driving into LA, many of you, do that drive from, the Inland Empire into the LA area. You start to see all these strip clubs. And how do they advertise it? They don't say 40 and beautiful. They say bare and legal, like just legal, right? Because they're going for that mindset of younger, prettier, right? There's statistics that talk about it. And I'm not going to quote these directly because I don't know exactly what they are. But it's like within 2 years of somebody viewing their first pornographic image, will see child pornography within the first 2 years.
Sure.
Because of the ads that pop up and the things that happen. Why? Because they know it's just like somebody slamming drugs into their arm. The first drug's not enough. You go further and further and further because our body starts to build up a resistance to it.
Sure.
Right? So the same thing with pornographic images. You want something more violent and you want something younger. Because really, when you look at a rape culture mentality, it's not about sex, it's about conquering. Right? And so what does an apex predator do? An apex predator doesn't go to fight another apex predator. They look for the weakest one, and that's what they attack because they want that image of destroying, right? And that's what sex trafficking is about. That's what pornography is about. It's about destroying something. Really what it is conquering.
And what's interesting is there's a lot of talk heading into this new year about toxic masculinity and things like that. And, oh, how do we do this? And I can tell you flat out, toxic masculinity is enforcing your will upon somebody else when they don't want anything to do with it.
Right.
And so we foster the bully culture and we foster this you're entitled to. And what happens is it trickles down in all of the worst ways. And so a sense of accountability to our neighbors. And because when I worked with you, and this was one of the shocking things because it opened up so many it was eye-opening to me. And I hate to bring it up regularly, but the thing is it was within 15 minutes of my house, 20 minutes of my house. It wasn't 3 hours away. It wasn't LA. It was 15, 20 minutes of my house.
And when I say 5 continents that we worked on, that's rescuing American children off of 5 continents, because I think a lot of people know that trafficking exists worldwide. Everybody knows that. But America is the greatest trafficker of its own populace. And I think that's what surprised me, because I'm from Northern California originally in a safe little community, Sonoma County. I had no idea that you could order a girl faster than a pizza until I was aware of it. And then what we try to do is move people that are aware of it to action. So we're not going to just give you all these statistics and then tell you there's absolutely nothing you can do.
Let me tell you this too. There are ways that you can help. You don't have to be the guy kicking in the doors. Those guys are needed. You know what I mean? Those guys are wanted. You know what I mean? But sometimes it takes going into a call center and picking up the phone. And sometimes it takes just being aware and being vigilant and being willing to say something. And so what are some ways that people can get involved?
I think it's really important to learn to not re-exploit people. So recognize if you see something that's wrong, say something. Absolutely. Learn to report everything to law enforcement. And then don't respond in a way to people that's going to bring more harm to them. You'll rarely see us identify any cases that we work on publicly because we see people re-exploit people, and we're not about that. So sometimes you'll see families come out publicly, but that's their story to tell if they want to tell it. But we're constantly telling people, you are not defined by whatever you've gone through. That is not your definition. And so we don't want to continually define. And I just want to say to the mothers out there, this happens to every family. So if this happens to a friend of yours, if you know somebody whose child went missing, please don't re-exploit them, love them. Don't beat them up. As moms, we tend to beat ourselves up over every decision our children make. And we're always bringing guilt and shame on ourselves. Shame off you. Just be there and love one another. And that's how you don't become a victim and you don't become a perpetrator.
Wrapping people up in love. Wrapping people up in love.
And that's what I want to do.
Loved.
Really, as you were talking about that, it's not about joining SERT Ministries and all that. It would be great. We'd love to have you. But the fact is not everybody's going to do that. But maybe one takeaway we can have with this, and we can agree, is we've been trying to get something started, and it's been like a tractor and molasses, man. It hasn't gone. But what I want to do is I want to challenge everybody to make a pledge, is that in the year 2020, you're not going to buy or trade or sell another human being.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? You can make that.
I can make that easily.
Right?
Easily, yes.
And that's the thing is you think about that is I'm not going to buy, trade, or sell even their image. Right? I'm not going to take their soul.
Interesting.
And do that. Like I'm not me. I'll make that pledge right here on David's show. I'm not going to buy, sell, or trade another human being, even in a pornographic way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to love my neighbor as myself. Right? I'm going to love somebody. I'm going to I'm going to push away a narcissistic society that says, like you said, I need to conquer somebody that's weak.
Yes.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build those up that are around me, even the strong, and I'm going to love my neighbor. I'm going to love them in a way that I'm going to tell them that they are loved. Because a lot of these things happen. Even the Johns, the perpetrators, are doing it because they don't know that they're loved.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
The school shooters that we're seeing. Do you ever see that the statistics that came out of the FBI that said 100% of school shootings could have been prevented because they knew that there was a predator amongst their midst? Every single one of them. No, it was never a surprise. Like, oh, that person did that.
Yeah.
Everyone said, I knew that kid was a problem.
It takes the collective complacency. It takes the collective consciousness to deny things.
Right.
It's like I love this show. It's this morning show that we watch, and it's this whole culture of denial that people participate in.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the biggest things that we could do is not participate in the culture of denial.
Yeah.
Like, be aware. And a lot of people say, oh, I want to be happy. I want to do this. And I can tell you without a doubt, these are some of the most heartbreaking statistics I've ever heard in my life. But I've never met a more joyful family than your family. And I would like to talk a little bit about the When and If Ranch. But going out to the ranch, your open house the other day, it was love incarnate on a piece of property. There was so many people that contributed to that to make it what it was. And when I went into the team room and I saw the way that you guys are operating, and I saw your room, your art studio, it was just so beautiful to see the way that you guys are using that. Can you tell people about the When and If Ranch?
Well, the cool thing and I got to pat you on the back because you helped make this a reality. And the cool thing is there's not too many people that will run alongside of you with your crazy ideas and your crazy dreams like the Serpa family will.
That's
right?
Absolutely.
And helped us find the people that could help us finance it. And the When and If Ranch, it comes from, and I want to share this with you. So General Patton, during the war, he said to his wife that he was going to commission a boat. So when and if he returned from the war, they would sail around the world.
I love it.
Right? And so part of that is making a dream come true now. So when and if, right? He was putting that forward. And that always stuck to me because that boat, as we know, that General Patton didn't return from the war, but that sailboat was there. And his wife had given that to the school that I was going to. And so my thought is, when and if you return from the mission field, when and if you're tired and lonely, when and if you need a hug,
you're trapped.
when and if
way out.
we return from an op, when and if all of those things happen, you'll have a place to be restored and recoup and
that's beautiful.
Relax, right? And it's really, really neat to see how that's come together and how, finding the right person. Like I got to speak at Charles's event, right? And I challenged them, make people's dreams come true, right? When I was part of a solar company years ago, and our motto was love where you live, right? Love where you live. Find that dream, hold on to it, and use that dream to just, love others and love them out of their situations. Because really one of the greatest things that the Bible says is that love covers a multitude of sins. Right, and it always protects. And as a Marine, I'd like to say that it's a violence of action that can solve any problem. Really,
sure.
But really, when love can be violent, right? It sure can.
Love can be violent. So, and this is the truth. A lot of people, they see this transformation that I've undergone, and I wrote this book, Zen Business, which is going to be coming out here in the next month or so. And I'm not a pacifist. I want to make that very clear. I am not a pacifist. And I've said several times, and there's a quote by Jordan Peterson, and he says, if you are incapable of violence, you are incapable of peace. If you are capable of violence, you're capable of peace.
Right.
A peaceful man or a violent man deciding to be peaceful is a beautiful thing.
Yep.
A violent man using his violence so that other people can be free to love and live their own lives. And the Bible talks about blessed be the peacemakers.
Yeah.
And it talks about I can't remember the exact quote. You probably do, the exact scripture. But he talks about taking care of the widows and the children.
In their distress.
In their distress.
Not just.
Which is violent.
Right.
Right. And it says that
when
the kingdom of heaven suffers violence, the violent take it by force. Right. And so that's one of those things where, and I think it's really important. We can define this. And I think you and I agree upon this. When you talk about toxic masculinity, you're not talking about masculinity.
Correct.
You're not talking about the warrior.
100%.
See, what we do is we'll meld that in today's society, thinking that all men are bad because of toxic masculinity, right?
Correct.
Like I need to shave my beard because it's too masculine and it offends people. Well, too bad. I'm going to be masculine. I'm going to be a man. I'm going to be a warrior in my community.
That's right.
But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to harm the weak.
There you go.
I'm not going to harm the needy. I'm not going to push down the people that are trying to rise up.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to help them up. And that's masculinity. That's being a warrior in our community because that's what men were created to do.
Yeah.
Right? We were created to be shepherds.
Sure.
And allow
100%.
people to have families and love and have community. That's what we stand for.
Absolutely. And listen, we understand that there are exceptions to the rule. We do. Yeah. And Amy wants to be a door kicker. She's like, hey, listen, how do I get, I want to go out there and I start firing away as well. Yeah. And your daughters, Cece and Maddie, I mean, my God, they're warriors.
Every rescue,
and that's what Amy was like. There need to be some women on these rescues. And I'm like, there are women on these rescues, and they share blood with these people. And so, kudos to Maddie and Cece for doing everything that they do. So, so getting involved in the fight, getting out to the Win NF Ranch, reaching out to Rudy and Lori. This is my number one suggestion to you. If you're watching this and you want to get involved, understand that you're just going to have to get involved.
That's right.
They're not going to beg you to show up. You guys don't chase donations. You don't meet people for coffee. You say, show up to the ranch, come out, basically like unannounced, like practically, like just shoot them a call and then show up. And because the people that are of action take action. Right. And the people that talk about action. And they want to be awarded for talking about action. But what we really need is we need the movers and shakers here involved in this fight.
For sure. I just want to do a shout out to anyone out there that is not feeling loved. And, you know, a lot of times when I speak to women especially, I'll say, if I asked you how many people that you love, how long would it take for you to name yourself? And I really feel like that just needs to be known that, he was talking about not being a perpetrator, but I want to just shout out to all the people that have been through stuff. And I've been through stuff myself. I always say I'm Rudy's first rescue. So I just want to say, you know, know your worth, know that you are loved so much by a love that doesn't fail you. And that you do not need to be bought, sold, or traded. Not only will you not buy, sell, or trade someone else, but you are loved so much that you yourself do not need to be bought, sold, or traded. So if anybody gets that today or you feel shame or guilt, I just want to say shame off you again. And if you need to talk, we're always available. So just
when you fill yourself up with love, you fill yourself up with love, you will not allow other people to treat you in a certain way. Right. The problem is we've all started treating ourselves so negatively that we allow other people to get away with murder of our soul.
Yeah. So learn to love yourself. In 2020.
Love yourself. Get involved.
Be well.
Be empowered. And so get involved in the fight in whatever way that you can get involved in the fight. I was very fortunate that I was able to get involved as your realtor. We were able to buy this house with a VA loan, which was fantastic. It did take money out of pocket, and it did take work, but it was possible, and it happened. And now because of it, all of these different structures that are on your property, you said ranch work is different than work in the suburbs.
Sure.
You're constantly improving your ranch. Can you tell people a little bit about what exactly the ranch is? And could you bring that
And I,
awful dog inside?
Want to endorse Katie and David. They, we always pray that people would just partner with us in whatever they can do. And they kicked down doors for us. They stood by us. They believed for us when we couldn't even believe for ourselves that we could possibly get a almost 20 acre ranch in Southern California with a VA loan. And we just can't thank you enough, for making our dreams come true. And that happened in August, I believe. And we've had visitors ever since. In fact, we have visitors right now. And again, we're having more coming in on Saturday when some are leaving.
6 days without overnight visitors
and non-consecutive days.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. So
and you know what's so cool about all these visitors is they come and they improve the ranch.
Yeah, they do. Everyone wants a part of the fight, and we can't take credit for rescues because it's people like yourself and Katie that make this dream come true. So thank you on behalf of the families, on behalf of our family.
Did I tell you about the veteran that came out and stayed with us for the last couple weeks?
Please do.
So there's a veteran. He's 64 years old. We met him preaching out on the streets of New Orleans. He's the guy who just goes around and carries a cross and shares the love of Jesus. He's like one of those guys that have probably loved on more people than anybody else. Like he goes into the highways and byways. He was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, colon cancer. And his last hope, they gave him 8 months to live. And his last hope was to get to Tijuana to do an alternative treatment because the VA just wanted to take everything out. And he said, I'll be less of a human being with that. So I want a quality of life, not a quantity of life, is what he was saying. So he came out and stayed at the ranch. His margins, and I'm not a doctor, so I don't really understand how my margins are, but he was at a 20 and a healthy person is at 4.
Okay.
So he was way off the spectrum. And that's why they'd only given him 8 months to live. And so we went down to Tijuana, and the treatment was going to be like $40,000. He wasn't able to raise that. He raised like $1,900 of the $40,000. But we prayed, and he stayed at the ranch. And we had nights where we just got out the guitar and worshipped and hung out and ate good food, changed the diet, did that type of stuff. Then we did find something that he could afford in Tijuana, but they were going to check his margins before they started the treatment. So he'd been at the ranch for 2 weeks. They checked his margins, and they were at 6.
That's wild. That's
just
absolutely wild.
Like the doctor said, I can't explain it, but we're going to go with it. In fact, they asked him, could you start charting and writing down everything that you did? Because we want to do a study on that because we haven't seen that happen before. But so when you ask, what is the ranch? It's just a group of people that are crazy enough to love each other.
That's right. It's a group of people that are crazy enough to love each other. Oh, I love you guys. I really do. I love you guys so much.
We're so grateful.
Okay. It's hard to sign off of this and talk about dancing, but we've got to talk about dancing. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to get involved, please reach out to Lori Gonzalez or Rudy Gonzalez if you want to roll your dice. He might be on the other side of the world at any given point, but he'll get back to you eventually. And get involved with SERT Ministries. Get involved with where you live because we do have some viewership all over the country. But most importantly, take this pledge. Take this pledge that you will love yourself enough not to buy and sell human beings or their image.
That's right.
In 2020. Let's raise our vibrations a little bit.
That's right.
Let's go.
Love you, my brother.
Love you more.
Love you, my sister. I love you so much, Lori.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
We'll see you soon.
All right. I'm going to bring on my crazy co-host here. My sister, by the way, said thank you so much for doing what you're doing. Deanna has actually been very interested in seeing what she can do to combat human trafficking up there in Washington State. And so maybe we'll get her connected with some good people up there. Patty says that she's coming in January. No one is safe from this. People with disabilities, that's true. People with disabilities have been harmed by human trafficking. So see something, say something. Don't be afraid to do it. Don't be worried about the backlash. Have the courage to do the right thing, regardless. So that's where we're at here with SERT Ministries. Thank you guys so much for continuing to watch. We are going to get on to our next segment here, but before we do, we started off today, by welcoming everybody here to the Wednesday Wake Up Live. We did talk about our nonprofit of the week. We had a big discussion about Animal Friends of the Valley, and then we went into cats versus dogs, which ended up being a very funny discussion. We talked about New Year's resolutions and whether or not those are a good thing. We had our guest segment just now with Rudy and Lori Gonzalez with SERT Ministries, and they had a beautiful open house that I was able to go out to on December 29th. Met some wonderful people out there involved in the fight firsthand, and it was just excellent. And now we are on to our next segment, which is going to be about dancing. Deanna says, SERT Ministries, that you guys are guardian angels. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It's something I feel very passionate about and hope to get involved with at some point. So this would be my challenge to those of you that are curious about getting involved. I urge you to get involved. take the first steps today that you need to do to get involved, whether that is sending a message to a local nonprofit that is involved in the fight against human trafficking, whether that is you're here in Southern California and you'd like to reach out to SERT Ministries, or that's donating $5 or something like that. Whatever it is, do something today to get involved in whatever your fight is going to be for 2020. So that is going to be my challenge to you. But now, let's talk about dancing. Are you guys ready to talk about dancing?
I just hope that this ends with you and Zach dancing.
It's not going to end.
Gosh darn it.
Spoiler alert, it's not going to end with me dancing.
Gosh darn it. I really thought I'd throw that one out there.
So, funny little thing here. We had last night, of course, was New Year's Eve, and it was a lot of fun. We had our fun, which was staying at home and watching Peanut Butter Falcon.
Great movie. Really?
Falling asleep at 11, setting my New Year's alarm for 11:55 p.m. so that I could pop up in my robe and bring it in. Meanwhile, what were you out doing last night? This is what Kate says to me. Kate says, you know what? Let's invite Zach over. Maybe you'd like to watch a couple of movies with us. It'd be a lot of fun. And I said, you know what, Zach and I, we've spent so many New Years together, banging pots and pans together on top of rooftops and taping duct tape together.
I forgot about that.
Both-sided. Just being rascals, just terrible little people. And but we had a lot of fun, and we've always done New Year's together. So I said, you know what? Every New Year's I think about Zach.
Yeah.
I love this guy. She says, well, why don't you shoot him a text message? I said, he wants to go and watch movies with us. And I said, Zach has had New Year's planned for weeks. I guarantee it.
No,
what'd you do?
But we did buy tickets. So Ivy and I were talking, what do we want to do for New Year's? And the last few years she had gone to the Stampede. Last year we went up to our friend's ranch, which turned into a bit of a disaster. And this year we reached out to a group of friends and nobody really was planning anything. So I said, you know what, we're going to go out. Well, actually Ivy said, let's go to the Atomic Ballroom, which I took her there a few weeks ago to go West Coast swing dancing. And I wasn't really expecting her to want to continue to do it. Mm-hmm. And then she goes, well, let's go to the Atomic Ballroom. And I was like, okay, well, in my general sense of course, taking something and wanting to go more, I said, well, if we're going to do that, why don't we go to this huge West Coast swing event out in Palm Springs? So I bought tickets for that, and we ended up going out to Palm Springs last night, which now we're getting ready to drive back to Palm Springs today. In hindsight, probably should have stayed in Palm Springs last night, but that's okay.
For those of you just tuning in, Zach Bach loves to dance. Mm-hmm. Zach Bach loves to dance so much that he has danced all over the world in all different styles. He found time to dance while he was in the Air Force overseas. It is absolutely, you're like just so like, I like to dance and we've danced a couple of times, but on much smaller scales. You're like, it's not dancing if it isn't a certain form.
Well, and you and I have talked about this. I mean, I have a tattoo.
I was waiting for it. I wanted to see it. Can you take your shirt off and show everybody?
I can.
Can you take off your shirt?
It's, you and I have talked about this. We've talked about meditation. We've talked about mental health. And I've said this to you before in that, for me to sit here and, put my hands like this and meditate and go, oh, is not me. But for me to clear my head and to just not think about anything else. When I'm on the dance floor and I'm focused on the music and I'm focused on something, and Ivy had written me a note once that said, when her and I are dancing and I pull her in close, she said, the music gets a little louder, the lights get a little dimmer, and everything else just kind of drowns out. And that's how it is for me, is when I'm on the dance floor, when I'm doing these things, thinking about real estate, thinking about what I have to do, thinking about all this other stuff, I literally cannot focus on it because I have to be focused on the person that I'm dancing with, the things that I'm doing, the music and all this kind of stuff. So it allows me to completely just clear everything out and just focus on something that I love to do.
In Taoism, they call it flow. In Buddhism, they call it mushin, the state of no mind, which is brought about by having a certain expertise in something that you enjoy doing so much, or that you have that you can go into a state of no mind, where professional athletes call it the zone. It's where everything else goes away and the training takes over, and professional fighters call it the zone. But it is mushin, it is flow, and for you, if meditation is a hindrance, but for you going out and dancing, it is a state of release. And so, it's very interesting for everybody to find their own thing. For me, a lot of times it's music. But what about you, Kate?
I love dancing. I dance alone mostly. Like I like to dance in a room alone by myself. It's very relaxing. It's really I actually text Zach one time and I said, so where are like the good dance studios? Where can I like go dance? And Zach tells me a couple of different ones, but I sent him a text one time of this girl like twerking. I said, yeah, but where can you dance like this? Not any of those dance studios, Kate. I said, okay, darn.
Arthur Murray Ballroom does not teach twerking.
So Kate is a little bit ratchet. Don't let her image fool you here.
Dancing is great though.
Yeah.
I love ballet. I love choreography. I love hip hop. I love contemporary dancing, modern dancing. I love all forms of dance. I really, really do enjoy it. Dancing is beautiful. It is therapeutic. I love to dance. I'll dance. I love dancing. It's great. Yeah. But I know that there are so many different kinds of dance and in all different kinds of cultures. There's so much. Like dancing is a really big thing in other cultures. You know,
it's amazing. You look at something like capoeira. You know, it's a Brazilian form of dancing that almost looks like people are fighting, where it's a martial art too. And one of the reasons, from what I understand, I've never fully researched this, but from what I was told was it came around from prisons and from the government saying that people could not practice a fighting style, so they made it look like a dance.
Interesting.
And so they were practicing a fighting style, and then, you know, you have breakdancing and this and that. But you look at capoeira and you go, God, that looks like they're fighting, but it also looks like they're dancing. And it's a very interesting martial art.
So and I love to draw the parallels between dancing and fighting and martial arts and all this different stuff. And because, you know, of course, dojo translates to place of enlightenment, which I think is very interesting. But with fighting, there's this overlap. And so I used to make fun of certain styles of martial arts because I grew up doing judo and jiu-jitsu and full contact ground fighting and kickboxing and very brutal forms of martial arts. And then I would make fun of people that did taekwondo or tai chi or even qigong, which I did, you know, like it's more calm and it is about control and self-mastery. And it's something that I'm circling back to here later in life. All right, so okay,
we lost our Kate.
We lost Kate. The baby is anytime that the baby she says on the baby monitor, she goes, "I'm on my way back." So Ryan is sleeping. There he is. He's stirring.
You know, it's interesting. I see Leslie tuned in on this and said, you know, we all have ours in. And if you know, Leslie at any time will have 20 to 30 files open. She's constantly doing her transaction coordinator thing. But she's also listening to like hard rock while she's doing it. And so she's got her doors shut and music, and Eric is probably in there trying to watch TV. And Leslie's listening to Slayer or, you know, something like that. And, but that's what it is for her to get in her mindset, to be able to focus on what she needs to get done.
Well, so I love music. I love music. And of course we all play in a band that, you know, our music plays for the intro for this song or for this show. But music, it gives me that opportunity to zone out. And so I have so many different things that I am processing that all come on in all at once, that putting on music gives me an opportunity to zone everything else out and then just focus on the task at hand. Kate, any final words on, actually, you know what I would like to talk about with dancing here is where can people get involved with dancing? Because it's not me. I'm not wanting to do this, but for those of you watching at home, maybe you want to go dance. How can people get involved in dancing?
So it depends on the time, but you know, so I've been seeing this thing on Facebook. It's called Show Her Off. And it's literally it's like $25, and you download this video series, and it's to dance in your kitchen or your front room. And it's for people that feel very uncomfortable going out somewhere and they're going, I'm not good enough. I can't dance in front of people. I can't do this. And what I constantly see on there, and I've posted this probably 6 times on their Facebook ad, is I see women, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women tagging their husband, tagging their boyfriends, tagging guys. And I constantly post all the time. I'm like, guys, if you are not noticing the fact that there's thousands of women commenting on this and you're not catching the hint, catch the hint. Yeah. You know, but that's where you could start is YouTube. If you don't feel comfortable dancing in front, like there's this thing like they say, you know, dance like no one's watching. I'm like, no, I dance like everyone's watching all the time. You know, but that's not for everybody. And so the biggest thing is
Zach enters the floor and he goes like this, and then he like slides in on his knees and like spins all around and like does this stuff. And then people are like, hey, listen, if you do that again, we're gonna kick you out of here. Like Zach is like the illegal dancer. He like rolls up, cigarettes in his sleeve, even though he doesn't actually smoke. And he comes on and he's got like this very dangerous look about him. And he's like snapping his fingers, whatnot, to like a very complicated rhythm and eyeballing the locals. And then I'm like, Zach, why are you going to go out dancing? Or who are you going out dancing with? By myself. Yeah. Zach, why are you going out dancing by yourself? I just want to dance.
There's a Dane Cook skit about that.
And then he pops out his switchblade and combs his hair.
Yeah. It's very, very Sharks and Jets, all that. But no, it depends on what you want to do. If you want to go line dancing is a great spot for a lot of people to start because you don't need a partner. Mm-hmm. You can go out and you can, Leslie said she has no rhythm. I don't believe that for a second. Everybody has rhythm. Nobody has two left feet. If you can clap to the beat of a song, you can dance. And it's just a matter of finding the right teacher. But there's salsa places in Temecula. There is dancing literally everywhere in every style that you could want. It's just a matter of how much money you want to spend.
You live in suburbia. All we have to do is we have idle time and that we want to charge people for their time to spend their idle time. So that's what we do. So I guarantee you there's an expert in like every type of sort of dance that you could ever want to learn here. Mm-hmm. Just right in Temecula.
Yeah, and if you've got kids, take them to the Temecula Dance Company. You do a free dance class.
Everybody's
expose them to all different kinds of dance.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about the kids dancing.
Yeah, I've taken my daughter and my niece to just a hip hop class, which they loved, and they tried that. And then one of them ended up transitioning into ballet. And you can go there's 2 Temecula Dance Companies. There's one in Temecula and there's one right here in Murrieta. Take your kids there.
One of the dance companies came to French Valley Elementary recently. Mm-hmm. The kids loved it.
Yeah. Dance is very special.
Jackson and I were on Polar Express or somewhere. I don't remember where we were, and somebody's breakdancing. Mm-hmm. And I made the mistake of telling Jackson, hey, I used to do that. And Jackson now has been harassing me to show him how to break dance. Oh. And I realized I recorded a video and I sent it to him. And it was just doing a quick breakdancing move. But I realized I'm 34 now.
Yep.
I am not the 17-year-old that used to breakdance. And doing some of these simple breakdancing moves, I have to warm up now. I can't just hop right in and do these things.
I windmilled in the front room on the tile floor and it hurt. That little impact of just like sliding down from your arm to like when you're swinging your leg back through.
This was recent.
This was like within the last week. I was windmilling in the front room
for 26 years. Mm-hmm. I've never heard you say that you had windmilled ever in 26 years.
So it happened.
So I need a video. I need something, or I need to move this camera back right now.
So Zach, I used to show up to school, and Zach is very neurotypical, and so he really just loves to dance and does whatever he wants to do at any given time. And you're like the classic extrovert. And we would show up to school, and I would see Zach, and Zach was one of the few people that put up with me regularly over a long period of time. And he would be there dancing and doing his b-boy stuff with Nick and everybody. Yeah. And then I would show up and I would just try to do it every once in a while, like not wearing the right clothes for it or anything. And Nick said, he goes, it's so funny because we're all over here like doing all this b-boy stuff. And then Serpa will just snap into a handstand and his bright legs are flopping around everywhere. Anyway, all types of people.
All types of people. But, this might be the year. I've brought it up probably 3 years in a row that one of my bucket list items is doing a flash mob. A flash dance.
You bastards.
The last flash mob I did was at a funeral.
So it's not going to be there. That's not on the bucket list, but it is on the bucket list to be a part of or orchestrate one. So just saying.
Zach and Kate have really been pushing this flash mob thing. But the thing is
get me in front of a fountain somewhere.
We also have a tendency to half-ass these things. And so I can see us getting 80% of the way there and then be like, we're good. Let's just wing it. We're 80% of the way there. And then it just being terrible. And then I'm the only one fully committed, doing all this stuff, new dancer face. And you guys are anyway.
Maybe it could just be the
it's not going to be any good.
Breaking out somewhere.
A 3-man dance mob. I don't know if it's going to be worth doing.
Could be good.
It'd be a little awkward.
Could be good.
My mom, of course, David was excellent. Little Shop of Horrors, dancing like John Travolta.
Oh,
damn right.
That sounds really good.
I'm loving the bow tie, by the way. My family's really representing strong right now today. Leslie said, "Video, please." I think that people are wanting to see me windmill.
I was standing next to the dining room table, and I look over because one of the kids asked you about it.
Yeah, we started talking about breakdancing.
Doing it, and David just next thing I knew, he was spinning around on the floor. It's amazing.
I know how to do so many things. All right. Okay, so I'm going to jump on my soapbox here. We're going to talk about responsibility.
All right.
Let me drink some water here. Okay, so there's a really interesting YouTube video out there where Amanda's talking about responsibility. If you have an ability, what is your response then with those abilities? We have a Statue of Liberty on the East Coast. And this Statue of Liberty was, of course, gifted by France, and it says, you are free to do what you want to do here in this country. Okay. Well, what are we going to do now? What are we going to do with that liberty? How are we going to exercise that liberty to make more of it for other people that may not have these opportunities? How are we going to make this world a little bit better? The man that delivered this speech was a Vietnam veteran. He was chosen alongside his commander to stay behind and fight off the enemy so that others had an opportunity to live. His commander said, we have a responsibility to these men. And he says, we have the ability. What will be our response with those abilities? And so these men fight off the Vietnamese. And years later, when he returns home, he talks to his wife, and there are these young girls that need to be adopted so that they can stay together. And he's trying to decide, am I going to do this here later in life? These years are supposed to be for me. His wife reminds him of the speech that his commanding officer gave him back in Vietnam years ago and says, do we have the ability? Then what will be our response with those abilities? You're stepping into 2020. You're stepping into this new year, new you, and I applaud you for that. While you are moving into this new year, while you are moving into this new you, I encourage you to do so with a mitochondrion of responsibility, a little bit of intentionality, so that you can make yourself a little bit better. And then by proxy, make your family a little bit better, the community a little bit better, and the world a little bit better. We have a great, great benefit that has been placed upon us by being born into this country. I very much enjoy being American. I love this country. But for too long, we have fallen victim to our decadence. For too long, we have fallen victim to our complacency. And so I encourage us in 2020, as we're moving forward and increasing our awareness of one another and of the global responsibility that we have to one another, I encourage you to take some responsibility for yourself, take some responsibility for your community so that our world can be a little bit better. Whether that is getting involved with SERT Ministries, whether that is just to be a little bit more intentional with your words and your actions, or whether it is just to love yourself a little bit more. Once you become this fully realized version of yourself, what will you do with those abilities? That's it. That's my soapbox for the week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Today, this is the Wednesday Wake Up Live. We've got Ryan waking up from a nap right now, and he's got his brand new shirt on right here with his tattoos. He's got his full sleeves.
He's got sleeves.
He's looking very handsome. Good morning, handsome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this special New Year's edition of the Wednesday Wake Up Live. If you want to go back and watch this show from the beginning, I encourage you to do so. We had a wonderful show today. We talked about New Year's resolutions. We talked about Animal Friends of the Valley, our nonprofit of the week, and cats versus dogs and all of that fun stuff. We had our special guest, SERT Ministries, Lori and Rudy Gonzalez, here in the studio to talk about their fight against human trafficking. And then we got a little bit lighter and we talked about some dancing and some fun things like that. Then I jumped on my soapbox and gave you a little bit of Serpa Soapbox on responsibility. And now, after waking up from a nap, we're going to say goodbye to all of you and a very happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Alexa, play Prometheus and Mama Fancy, Love to Give. Did you do that right? Oh, I unplugged Alexa. So Alexa is playing it at your house, but she's not playing it here. We love you all. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week and every week thereafter, every Wednesday from 10 to 11 o'clock. If you need to buy or sell real estate anywhere in the country, please let us know. We'd be happy to set you up with a great agent. And if you need to practice here locally, you need to buy or sell real estate, free to contact any one of us. We'd be happy to help you guys out. Thank you guys so much for watching. The VA Home Show by Real Estate Network Television will be on Friday. So be sure to like and subscribe that. And the Open House Show will be on every Sunday at noon. So if you're watching this on Facebook, please like our page, the Wednesday Wake Up Live. If you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure that you subscribe to the Real Estate Network Television. Thank you all for watching. We will see you next week on the Wednesday Wake Up Live. Have a great day, everybody.